Welcome friends to Farm Fresh Designs 59. In today's video, I have 4 tabletop hacks that you can recreate or that will inspire you as you prepare for your Christmas hosting. So let's get started. My first tabletop display is a thrifted sleigh, and I really loved it just the way that it was, and it kind of appears to be leather, but I'm sure it's plastic. And it already had the little studs on it. And so I just decided I would try to put one of the new transfers on from IOD called Tinsel. And I wasn't really even sure that it was going to work because I didn't prepare this surface at all, besides just wiping it clean. And it came off really well. So with these gilded transfers, they're a lot different than our regular transfers. So when you use that little tool that they provide, only rub it over the parts of the actual transfer. Because if you go over the other parts that are gold, that are outside of the design, it's going to kind of flake off onto your surface. Now, when you finish pushing that transfer onto your project, do not throw that top part away. You can go around the edge with a really tiny pair of scissors and sort of fussy cut it. And then you can use that reverse image on another project by using a gilding glue. So make sure to save that. And I will try to use that reverse transfer or that reverse piece later on in another video. So I needed something to sit inside of the sleigh, and I wanted it to be packages. So I just went out to my wood shop, and I had some scrap pieces of wood. And so I just cut them in all these different sizes, a little bit bigger and a little bit smaller. And I painted them all with just one coat of Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. And then the ribbon that I'm tying on is sort of a stretchy ribbon, and it's gold. And I think I got that at Hobby Lobby. Now, instead of putting a bow on top, then I pull out my older IOD mold called Blitz, and there's 4 smaller snowflakes on this particular mold. So I just make a lot of these little different snowflakes, and I make them out of Dawes air dry clay, and I'm going to glue them onto the top. Now, I have to admit, this took a pretty good while, because I didn't want to use any of the bigger snowflakes in this particular mold, because these little boxes or these little pretend gift boxes were pretty small to be able to fit into that sleigh. So I just kept on making them until I had enough of them. And it's really easy to use the air dry clay ones because you can kind of mold it over the little knot in that ribbon. And I put it down with Tight Bond Thick and Quick, which comes in the gray and the blue bottle. Once I got all my snowflakes on, I painted them with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream, and then I went back with Dixie Belle gold gilding wax and brushed it pretty heavy on top of those snowflakes. And then I'm just going to put them in the sleigh, and that will make a beautiful tabletop display along with some other pieces that I have at home. Like I have a Santa that's more of the creamy white, and then I've got a gold Christmas tree that I bought at Hobby Lobby, and I've got some gold ornaments. So just right here, I have a thrifted sleigh, and the little gift boxes were just scraps of wood, and I didn't even use one roll of ribbon, and then I used some air dry clay on top of it. And I have a beautiful, really elegant tabletop display that was so easy to make. So what do you think? And I forgot to mention that I used that same gold gilding wax and put just a dab of it on all those little studs. Okay, so my next project is a wood box that my husband built for me last year, and on the other side it has an IOD transfer from last Christmas's release. So this year on the other side, I'm using the stamp that came out called Winter Forrest that has all of these really pretty like woodland Christmas trees. And I'm using Waverly chalk paint in the color moss. and I put it on with a brayer. And because it's paint, it's going to dry pretty quick, so you need to put a little bit extra on top of that. So I start out by using 2 of the larger trees. And this is a little tool that I get off of Amazon, and I love it. And I'll make sure to link it in the description box below. Now, I used my heat gun to dry those before I put the second one on. When you're using paint instead of ink, you know, it's going to take maybe just a little bit longer to dry, so you can either wait for it or you can just use a little heat gun. Now I'm using the mask for those first 2 trees because in between those trees, I'm going to be using a smaller Christmas tree from this stamp set. And those masks just sort of protect it so that you're not stamping right on top of those. Well, I didn't do a good job, so I put a little bit more ink on it, and I went back over it and I pressed down really good. And then I like the way that it turned out. So now I'm going to put another smaller little woodlands tree in between the other 2. And it's okay if it's not perfect because it is more primitive looking. So I'm going to try something that Sammy from Unicorn Dust Designs showed us, and I'm probably not going to do it nearly as good as Sammy does. So after I got it stamped, now I'm going back and I'm just going to paint over all of those branches. And it's pretty rough, primitive job that I did, but I really do like it in the end. It's just not a really fancy piece that I've done. So I'm just going to paint over all of them a little bit because I'm going to try something that Sammy did where she stamps it and then she paints it, and then after that finishes drying, then she goes back and stamps it again so that that detail will come out on top of that ink or on top of that paint that I put on. Now, I'm not going to tell you I did the best job ever with it, but I still really like it because it's an old box that's made out of barnwood that I just did a really sloppy paint job on with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint because I did want it to look more primitive and old. And this is where I'm going back with IOD black ink, and I'm going to stamp right on top of that tree. And I'm not going to say that it shows up really well, but I think up close you can see it pretty good when that the stamp kind of adds to that paint that I've already put on it. And then I just go back over all these different trees and I stamp it just like I did before, making sure that I use the mask when I needed to, just so that I would still protect that image that I had already painted on. So even though mine did not turn out as good as Sammy's, I left it in the video anyway, only because, you know, as crafters, we're going to try different things that maybe we've seen other people do, and maybe it didn't turn out just as good as theirs did, but it's always fun to try. And in the long run, I really do like this piece, and it's going to make a perfect tabletop display in an area that's more primitive. So tell me, what do you think? So if you're enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and become part of our family. Okay, so let's get started on my next tabletop hack, DIY. So actually, this is a really large mold that I believe I bought it from Redesign with Prima, and I will try to find the link for this. And I made this one out of resin. And so I'm painting it with Rust-Oleum chiffon cream. And it takes a pretty good while because you have to go through all those little details. Once it all get painted, then I'm going to use Tight Bond Thick and Quick to put it on the back. And I'm actually going to be adding it to a very long, narrow dresser drawer. And this is actually a drawer that I DIY'd a pretty good while back, and I actually put a lot of stain on it to kind of make up for different parts of where the stain had come off. And then I used some recycled paper on the inside. And once it sets up really well, then I go back again with Dixie Belle Gold Gilding Wax, and I put it all over the top of this mold that's made out of resin. And I love this particular box because this is not necessarily a Christmas themed box, but it can be used all year round. And I haven't done anything to the other side of it because I want to wait and maybe do something for that other side in the spring, but neither one will be specific to a holiday, but can be used any time of the year. But I love old drawers because they're perfect to put different displays in. And it's sort of like a long tray that just has sides on it. But I love the way that it turned out. So what do you think? Okay, so my last project is actually just an old drawer that came out of my mother-in-law's house, and it was in the kitchen. So it was one of the smaller drawers that you might put silverware in or utensils. So I had my husband to bring it back home, and I wasn't sure if the stain would bleed through. So I started out with using a Dixie Belle bonding vase, and that kind of seals in the stain. And then I painted it with Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. And I love this decoupage paper. It comes from Decoupage Central, and I will share that link in the description box below. But I love it because it's grays and it's those light blues that you would see more, as it gets really cold in the wintertime and just gets really chilly and frosty. And I just love these colors. So I want to make sure that the little florals on it stand out more on the front of this box. So I have to just tear it just a little bit with my water pen, and I put part of it on one side of the box, and then I go back later on the other side and I find some more of those flowers to put on the other side. And that's what I love about decoupage paper, because you can tear it and make it all look so seamless. So on the outside and then on the inside, I'm using some stamps from the IOD Classical Christmas. And it's got some cherubs on it, and it's got some really pretty garland on it, and then some swirly pieces. So that's what I'm using. And I use IOD Stone Gray ink to put this on. And then I'm going to put some on the inside as well. And then it just sort of ties all of this pretty design together, both on the decoupage paper and on the stamp. Now, when you use IOD ink, yes, it's permanent. But if you mess up and you get a little bit extra on your project, if you will very quickly wipe it away with a baby wipe, it'll come right off. Now, one of the things I forgot to film was I had some like silver glitter glue, and I just went back over different parts of that decoupage paper just to make it really pop out. And that's what the sides look like. And I just think it's really pretty. And this is actually something that could go, out, or you could leave out even after Christmas is over, because it just gives those really frozen, like January vibes. So friends, thank you so much for stopping by and watching my video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I inspired you. So in the comments below, let me know which one was your favorite. And also, make sure to go to my Facebook page, which is Farm Fresh Designs, because I try to do about one live video a week. And when I do my live videos, it is nothing like what I normally do on my YouTube channel. So make sure to stop by and see some of those projects. And in my live videos, we can sort of interact with each other. And it's a lot of fun. And then also make sure you follow me on Facebook so that it will pop up on your feed when I'm getting ready to do a live video. Because I always try to let y'all know ahead of time that I'm going to be doing a live video. Because for right now, I'm not on a consistent day or time, just because my time is pretty limited. And so when I do my live videos, sometimes it's, oh my goodness, I might be able to do a live video tonight. So sometimes it's just, kind of creeps up on me, and it's a good way to let you know I'm going to be doing it if you are following me on Facebook. But thank you so much for all of your support. You did help me reach my 10,000 subscribers, and I was just wanting to do it by the end of the year. But after this last video, we went over the 10,000 mark. So thanks to you, and thanks for all of your support that you got me all the way to 10,000. So if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, because I've still got some more Christmas coming up, and I'm excited to show you those pieces. So once again, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel, and make sure to hit the notifications button so that YouTube will notify you when I upload my next video. I hope you have a wonderful week. Thank you, friends.